ones that actually put that pressure, even from your parents. It doesn't even come from your parents, because your parents know, okay, what's going on in your life.
Yeah.
But those aunties, they're just like, I'm telling my friends, so yeah, Shebi is next year, and you're like, sometimes you don't even want to see them, because that question is going to come up one way or the other.
It is. And I've had friends who have Nigerian friends who have stopped going to African churches for that reason.
So for me, you're too picky. It's one of the biggest one I get. You're too picky. You're too focused on career and stuff. Or, oh, there must be something wrong with you. And I'm just like, I'm not picky. I just know what I want and I have standards. And so I'm not in a rush for anything. But yeah, I get a lot of you're too picky. That's what I get. And your standards are too high.
Wow. Hi guys, welcome to the latest episode of Rise and Thrive. On this episode, I have two wonderful guests who will be talking about a topic that I consider really personal to me, and I thought it's something that listeners will want to hear about, and that's unapologetically single at 30. And before I go on to introduce my guest, I would like to welcome you if you're watching us for the first time. So Rise and Thrive is a podcast aimed at empowering young people in diverse areas of their lives, from their career to their finance, to their spiritual work, and also into their relationships. And we are going to be talking about diverse topics. So every day I speak with young, actually very authentic individuals who share their perspective in diverse areas, as I said earlier, from marriage to career to finance to all the areas that affect us as young people. So join me today as I welcome Nini and Debbie.
What up?
Nini is an event planner, and she's a twin.
I am.
Yeah,
Shout out to Cine's Planning. Shameless plug.
Yeah, so if you're looking to plan
And
your
travel.
event, say your wedding, your birthday, Nini is the plug. I'll be dropping your handle, so those who are interested in actually booking your services can actually contact you. And I have Debbie. Debbie, I don't know so much about you, and I think this would be a good time for actually you to introduce yourself.
All right. So I am Debbie, Deborah, whichever one you call, I will answer. We're Nigeria, so you know how it goes. Okay. My name is Debbie. I work in healthcare administration. My family owns a home health, so I do help manage in that. Also, I'm also in ministry. I run a women's ministry. It's called Righteousness and Justice. Yes and Amen. Whereby we meet, we pray together, and we uplift the community. I'm also very particular about the ministry of deliverance. So, very faith-based. I got saved back in 2020.
Oh, wow.
In the peak of the pandemic, that was when I got to really know God. And I feel like that's relatable for a lot of people too.
Yeah.
It was a come to Jesus moment for a lot of people. And then after that, it was just radical, like just radically saved and unashamed and trying. But, it's God that, handles it. I'm just here.
Yeah.
But that's me.
Yeah, that's nice. Welcome you guys to this episode. So I really want to talk about this topic because it's a topic that affects me too. And I thought that a lot of singles are actually going through a phase, because I see that there's been a rise of unmarried singles, and even while pursuing their career, they still have this fear of, how do I balance life? How do I not allow societal pressure get to me? So I'll start by asking Debbie. Debbie, what would you say you would tell your younger self right now?
In regards to marriage and waiting, forget about what you see in Hollywood and Hollywood, girl. Stop. Forget those expectations we have, because I think back and I was like, by 23 I'm married. At the latest 25, oh Lord, I would have been established in my career. By the time I always said I wanted to have my first child before I turned 30. I want to do this, I want to do that. And what I'll tell my younger self is, don't use another person's clock to tell your time. You are on God's time. You are not on the time of man. Don't let society tell you who you're supposed to be. Your identity is rooted in Christ. Your identity is found in Christ. It's not found in whether or not you're married. Marriage does not bring happiness. It does not bring fulfillment. If you're not already happy and fulfilled as a single person, what you would be when you get married is a person who is unhappy that is now taking on the burden of another person. You're not carrying on another person's unhappiness, right? Because, to become one flesh. So your husband's problems become your problems, vice versa. So I'll tell myself, find your identity in Christ. First of all, marry yourself to God in the covenant, because as believers, we're married to Christ. We're in a covenant with Christ. I believe it's Hosea 4:20. I believe so. And I'll correct myself if I'm wrong. But it says, basically God was talking to Hosea, the prophet Hosea, and then he was telling Hosea to go marry a prostitute, which it represented his marriage covenant between him and the nation of Israel, right? They would wander around and serve other gods as the prostitute would do, right? Leave your husband and wander and lust after other gods. And then it says, in Hosea 4:20, it says, I will call her as my bride, and I will show unto no mercy, and she will no longer say my Baal, but she will call me my God, my husband. So I would tell my younger self, marry God before you marry man. Because when you're married to God, any man that's going to come, you're already rooted in Christ. Before he can find you, he would have to go into Christ to find you, because you'll be so deep in Christ. So that's what I'll tell my younger self.
That's really, really, really insightful. For you, Nini, what would you say would be what you tell your younger self?
Well, first I'll tap myself on the shoulder because I think I've done pretty good. But I mean, I would echo a lot of what Debbie said as far as from a faith-based point of, having a relationship with God. But I think the biggest thing is self-discovery. Like, when you start to discover yourself, I think that tells you a lot of what you pick and what you choose. But again, I'm saying that now because I'm much older, right? But my younger self, I would just focus on being me, focus on, school, work, whatever it is, friendship, trips, focus on doing that. And then that's what I tell my younger self, focus on doing that.
That's true. Focus on yourself. And that really resonates with an encounter I had. So I was at a nail bar, and then the lady who was actually doing my nails, she just asked me, "Oh, you're really pretty." And I was like, "Thank you." And she asked me, "Are you married?" And I said, "No, I wasn't married." I was like, "Why was that the first question?" I said, "No, because that's how the society is. That the first question they will ask a lady will be like, "Oh, are you married?" And when I told her I was single, she said, "Take your time." And I said, "Take your time. Why do you have to say I should take my time?" She was like, "Don't rush in it." I was like, "Okay. But what would you give me as an advice if you're going to advise me?" Seeing from the point of view, she had been married, and she got married in her 20s. And she said something that stuck with me forever. She said, focus on yourself, smile more, pursue your purpose, and on the line of your purpose, while pursuing your purpose, you will find the man. And that really changed a lot about me, because then I was at that stage of my life where I was really, really bothered about, and I was pretty young, very, very young. I'm telling you that I'm talking about very young. So I was like, I think I should be married now because my mom got married at 20. And for me, not getting married at 22, 23 was something I was really worried about. And so I needed to now tell myself, I said, you know what? Why don't I actually pursue my purpose? I wouldn't say I have found the man, but I know that on the line of my purpose, I'm definitely going to find him. And so that really bothers me about a lot of young people. A lot of young people, while in the process of waiting to find that perfect person, they just forget about their dreams and they're just focused on, I must get married at this certain age. And they believe that, okay, until I get married, I will not be able to fulfill destiny. And so most people put that energy that they could have put into building something for their life in actually finding that man. And I'll go back to what I'm saying, but I think I'll first want to ask you guys, how have you been able to handle the pressure that have come with society's expectation. Because once you're a lady, as an African lady, once you clock 21, they are beginning to come up with those questions, and seeing that you guys are 30 plus, what would you say has been the ways you've been able to manage all these expectations and still keeping your sanity? Because some people just get depressed and get lost in their thoughts and begin to find themselves wallowing in that thought of, that pressure of, not being married at a particular age. So what would you say in has been your coping mechanics for that?
So I think for me, I've just, again, going back to the spiritual piece, knowing that my worth is I'm not valued based on my relationship status. And just knowing that there's more fulfillment outside of being married. I mean, as a single person, I've done a lot of things that I thought, I wouldn't have been doing if I was married. I've paid off my debt. I'm debt free. I travel. My twin sister and I opened a business. I'm serving. I'm volunteering as a financial coach. I'm doing a lot of things. Not saying that I don't want to get married, but I find that, when you find fulfillment in those things, it's like, okay, there's more to this than marriage, because I know that if I were to be married prior to now, I don't think I would have accomplished any of what I've accomplished at this age right now. So for me, it's just not caving into societal expectations and just focusing on my goal, my path. And I really think my singleness journey has been shaped by my faith and just my journey as I'm going through this. I mean, I'm 40 and people are like, wait, you're not married at 40?
The first day Nini said she was 40, I thought she was actually trying to pull up a stunt on the group. And I looked close, I'm like, are you for real? Until she actually printed her birthday. Then I was like, this lady is actually serious. And she doesn't look any bit close to.
I thought she was 26 when I met her outside. I was like, yeah, she's a good 26, 27. Exactly. Nothing close to 40. Nothing. Yeah, you don't look close to 40.
No, thank you guys.
I don't know what you do, but whatever I
drink water and mind my business.
Just kidding. Girl, it's gotta be more than that.
Yeah. Because you will pass out quickly for someone who is in her maybe 26, 27, 28.
And that's why I have the 26-year-olds hitting on me.
No, but I'm going to come back to that conversation. About getting involved in younger people, because some people, the society looks like that, especially African society, but we are going to come back to that. So, but with you, Debbie, how do you manage societal expectations?
Ooh. Well, first of all, the Nigerian aunties don't make it any easier. The church aunties, the Nigerian aunties, they don't make it any easier. I'll be 30 next year. So the pressure already started coming when I was 26. They're like, I remember I went to church one time after I got off work, and I went for an evening service, and I met this wonderful lady. She's a nurse practitioner. And she's like, how old are you? What do you do? So what of your husband? I was like, gosh. So just as my husband. She said, wait, so you mean I was 26 at the time, you mean you don't have any husband? I was like, I'm enough, I'm not a half of, I'm not a half person. I'm a full human, and this is what a lot of people don't realize about being single or singles is, in order for you to be, what makes up a single? Fractions, right? They're put together. It comes together. You're one whole person. You're a single person. I am fulfilled. I am my own person. In Jeremiah 1:5, it says, before you were formed in your mother's womb, I knew you. I set you apart. It doesn't say I set you and your husband apart, or I knew you and your husband when you were in your mother's womb, or I knew you and your wife when you were in your mother's womb. I knew you, right? So that has really helped me understanding that marriage is a beautiful thing. And sometimes I will jokingly tell these aunties, don't worry, I'll bring the bill. When it's time for the wedding, you will pay. Yeah. I'll say yes now.
Especially those aunties, they're the ones that actually put that pressure. Even from your parents. It doesn't even come from your parents, because your parents know, okay, what's going on in your life. Yeah. But those aunties, they're just like, I'm telling my friends, so, yeah, Shebi is next year. And you're like, sometimes you don't even want to see them, because that question is going to come up one way or the other.
It is. And I've had friends who have, Nigerian friends, who have stopped going to African churches for that reason.
Oh, that's tragic.
Because the first thing they ask is, what of your husband? I have a friend, she's very well accomplished, she's in her 40s. beautiful lady. She's been engaged a couple times. It didn't work out for whatever reason. God knows best, right? She's been through hell, picked herself back up, built herself back up. And then they see all her accomplishments. She has her house. She has a G-Wagon. It was, what of your husband? No, hey, congratulations. No, let me clap for you. No standing ovation, because it's like until the name of another man follows your name, you are nobody. But what has helped me, find peace and be able to just shut people out is, first of all, a lot of people don't have sense. We put a lot of pressure on, okay, and we respect our elders, right? But look at, like, a lot of them too, they didn't know. They don't know. They are speaking from the ignorance that was passed on to them. You ask them, how did you meet your husband? How did you somebody told me somebody wanted to marry. They asked if I was interested. I said yes. We saw each other, we just married. We fell in love in the marriage. And you're like, that's it? You just wanted to marry. So the stigma of being a married woman would not follow you. Or you see some men, they will say, oh, I got married just because I just married. I put wife for house. I go see they do my thing for outside. You're like, what kind of marriage is this? And then, just that, and idolizing marriage.
Yeah.
It has helped me understand, like, okay, you know what? I'm not going to idolize marriage. God is going to be my only idol. And all good and perfect things come from God. Singleness is a gift. It's one of the most precious gifts you can get from God. So that has really helped me, navigate all that. Ula balu. The African aunties.
Yeah. And I think that's going to lead me to the question I was going to ask, that what are some expectations or stereotypes you've received as someone who's married?
I can start. So for me, you're too picky is one of the biggest one I get. You're too picky. You're too focused on career and stuff. Or, there must be something wrong with you. And I'm just like, I'm not picky. I just know what I want and I have standards. And so I'm not in a rush for anything. But I get a lot of, you're too picky. That's what I get. And your standards are too high.
Wow. How about you?
The stereotypes. She's fine, but she must have bad character. That's good character. Like, she's beautiful.
Yeah.
What do you mean you're single? So it's bad character now. Which man go put her for house?
True,
they must
true.
be. They don't even know you. Just like, maybe she's too ambitious. Or like when you're an ambitious woman, right? A lot of men, not all, but they'll say, she's too career driven. This one no go sit down for us. And you're like,
and
what?
that's a misconception. You really don't know because you've not even spent time with this person. You can't even say who this person is.
Like off rip, but they'll say, oh, this one she's too picky. And then they're like, I don't know. But I just let it bounce off because, like I said earlier, when you realize a lot of people don't have sense, it makes navigating life easier because the expectations dealing with people, like it comes down. I haven't had anybody say this to me or about me. I don't know if it's been said behind my back. I hope not, but I have a friend. She said that her wedding was called off a while ago. Oh. Yeah. She's Yoruba. He's Igbo. His mom wanted him to marry an Igbo lady. So they had to cancel the whole thing. And then one lady in church was saying that, telling their mother, your daughter must be a lesbian just because she's not married at 30-something. So there is a lot of disrespect that comes with being a married single person. People feel like they can say anything to you because they feel like, okay, you don't have a husband that's going to come and check them. Like before they insult somebody's wife, they're like, she's somebody's wife.
Somebody's wife. They pay bride price.
Exactly. Be careful, but you are single. You see their papa house. So, there's a lot of stereotypes. You're too career driven. Maybe you have high standards, like you were saying. There's nothing wrong with having high standards as long as they're within reason, right?
Well, what do you mean within reason? My standards are my standards. What's the reason?
No, that's what I'm saying though. Like within reason, like
because there's some unreasonable standards.
There's some unreasonable standards.
Some people will be like, if he's not tall, dark, I'm not getting married. I don't like fair guys. So even when the guy is a good guy, the fact that he doesn't meet that height and physical expectation.
Now let's be real. At some point in my life, until this time, I mean, I like tall, dark, and handsome. But you, like you say, as you get older, you start figuring out what's more important than tall, dark, and handsome. But I'm sure all of us here have a preference. We have a type that when they walk through that door, they're like, hey.
Sugar, spice, and everything nice.
That's really true. But I think to create balance, right, as singles, some of these are things we're going to be discussing, because to create balance as singles, even as much as you want to have that tall, dark guy, the package that God might want for you might be in a short, fair man.
Hey, God, I beg.
That's the reality of it. That is the reality. Because if you look biblically, the kind of people that God has chosen to do his work, the people he searched from the innermost part. Because at the end of this day, these things do not matter. Because you would, when situations of life start up in marriage, you wouldn't eat his height.
No.
Right.
It's the content of his character. That's what is going to be a reflection of what you want to have in a marriage. You can see it. You might have that tall. I'm not saying that you can't have it all. You can have it all. You can have that tall, dark man that has good quality and all of what you want God for in that person. But while waiting, when you begin to find out that that tall, dark man is not coming, and this is a short, fair man that has everything I want in a man, my sister, go ahead and marry him. I'm serious. I'm a very realistic person and very biblical, and I like to put a balance to it. Go ahead and marry him, because now we even have technology. I don't know if you heard of that guy, that short guy. I think he's somewhere, whether in Minnesota, Ohio, that went for his surgery to elongate his legs.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
now he got to do in therapy.
Okay, so my brother, Daniel, my brother, like he's really tall. He's 6 foot whatever, and my dad is not as tall, right? And my brother was just talking about like how he has friends who are ball players who are like 7 foot, 6'8", like giants that make him look short, and he's at 6'4", 6'5". And I was like, Jesus Christ, like are those Nephilims or what? Because those guys are giants. My dad said something. He said when it comes to settling down and marriage, he said women should not focus too much on the height of a man. Yes, attraction is very important. It's very important, because he was saying that when you get to your 50s, your 60s, everybody starts to get shorter.
exactly.
Everybody starts to get shorter. One of his friends is a sitting governor. I won't say in what state, but he said, "You seem very short, even shorter than me." My dad is not very tall. He said, "But now he's the tallest man in the state because he's taller than everybody. He's the governor." And I was like,
exactly,
it's true. So I said, if his wife had said, "I will marry him because he's short. I will go marry that tall man," she would have missed out on the opportunity of, being first lady of, that state. So it's good to look beyond the physical and look at the substance of what a person is truly made of. But my question now is, I believe that God is not the author of confusion.
of course.
So, and God will not impede on our free will, right? The standard that God sets when it comes to marriage is, do not be unequally yoked, right? You be attracted to that person. God would not pick up the spouse, the husband or wife for anybody.
Absolutely.
Because what did Adam say?
It was a woman you gave me.
The woman you gave me. So God has learned, like, I'm not going to pick your husband for you, but this is the parameter I've given you. Be equally yoked. So now my thing is, if he's just say, I just want to marry this person that has all the qualities, yes. And if you're not physically attracted to that person, would you be marrying the person out of pity?
That's a very good question. So for me, right, I've been in that phase in my life where I met a
Clearly,
guy.
she didn't marry him.
Yes. And one thing I like, you said that God respects our will. And so what I had to do then was to pray about it, for the emotions to come up there. But it never came up. And rather than hurt the person, I decided to let it go. Because sincerely speaking, he had all the qualities I wanted in a person, but the attraction was not there. And I think
he was short and
no, it wasn't just short. It wasn't short. Okay, now he had a very good character. I'm sapiosexual. I'm very, very attracted to people who can hold healthy conversations. But for him, he was someone who was very quiet, very withdrawn, but every other part of his life, he checked it out for me. So even when I tried to bring out that part of him. It wasn't just clicking. But this was somebody who was just so awesome. And I tried to pray about it to build that spark, but it didn't just happen. So I just realized that we were better off as friends, and we kept it there, and our friendship has been very good so far. So I don't think it's proper for you to marry somebody out of your own selfish reasons, seeing that, oh, this guy will be a good father to my children. Oh, the attraction is not there, but just that, this man is a homely man. Oh, this man will take, the statement people made that I know this one will take care of me. That's why I want to marry him. I know he will manage my wahala. That's selfish of you to do that, because marriage is a give and take. So you're not doing it for yourself. You are bringing somebody into your life, and even as much as you want that person to add that value to you of managing all your bullshit, you also should be looking at an intrinsic value that you are adding to this person. But most times these days, a lot of people take selfish decisions of saying, this person checks my boxes because I know there's no love there, but financially he's there, he's a calm guy, let me just marry him. But after the marriage, they go ahead to still be keeping tabs with. I don't think ladies really do that a lot, but most guys do it a lot. And they are like, oh, this girl looks like a cool girl. She looks like this one will be good for wife at house. You see that word? She'll be good for wife as a wife. But after putting her in the house, the people they actually have that connection with, they keep in touch with them. And as godly people, I don't expect as a Christian for you to do that. But I'm talking about unbelievers now. Christians, I don't expect as a Christian, you should be married and still be having somebody you are talking to, even if you are not fornicating, but having conversations that are not godly with that other person, or trying to talk about your spouse to somebody, maybe one of your exes. I don't think that's proper. But most guys these days actually take that route and say, oh, this lady, they might not really be an attraction, like, oh, this one should be good as a wife, this one will take care of the home, this one she go sit down for house, and then go ahead and marry her, and then put her in the house, and they are outside on the streets.
Yeah. So to what you said about, well, do you marry this person? I have a good friend of mine. She's a pastor, Pastor Jane. She said, Nini, you have to be attracted to who you marry, because that's someone you're going to wake up in the morning and see every day of your life. So it's important. And now I think what it boils down to is, I may be attracted to this person, somebody else might not be. So someone was saying, well, we really should think about, when we think about attraction, are we just talking about physical attraction, or are we talking about intellectual attraction? Like, what about it makes you attracted to this person? Now, I'm going to be very honest. I have turned down some guys because I didn't find them physically attractive. But then I found guys who I didn't find physically attractive, but as I spoke to them, I'm like, wow, he's like a great guy.
Yeah.
But I'm still single though, but.
There's this one woman of God that I listen to, Tiffany Montgomery.
Oh, Tiffany.
She said something. I don't know if you're familiar with her TYOTB fast.
Yes, the Year of the Bride.
The Year of the Bride fast. So she said something. She said that while she was praying, that she told God, she said, if there is anything about the man that's in your perfect will that is not attractive to me, that might blind me from seeing that, okay, this person is in your perfect will for my life, remove it. If it's the way he chooses food that could be annoying, that irritates me, take away that annoyance so that it doesn't blind me to seeing the heart of this person, to being able to see, because some people just like, this guy is not tall, just like let him go, like let me just write him off, right? But I think it's a very important prayer, because a lot of times too, as God speaks, the enemy also speaks. So sometimes the enemy could be like, that one, he's still coming up and I'm still struggling. You're a big girl. True. Forget him. He's not on your level. Forget him. He's still struggling. No, leave him. So, and a lot of times your voices, even with friends, they're like, well, what will people say? That's the thing. What will people say? So praying that, God, open my eyes of understanding. Let me see spiritually, can this man lead the home spiritually? There's this lady, I don't know if you guys saw that viral video where she said 3 types of singles. She said, first one, the single and searching. and then the ones that are single that are not searching. And then the third one, she said the ones that are single and searching, but they end up with a prayer points. You know? So instead of having a prayer partner, you end up with a prayer points. Now you're praying God change him. God change. Like if you have to pray that God should change her or change him, leave him alone because you're not the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
That's pride speaking. So I think it's important, you know, for people to see you as you are. Right? Like, okay, you know what? This is what you see in the morning, this is what you see in the afternoon, this is what you see in the night. You don't like my natural hair. Okay, you know, you don't like me without makeup. Okay, and I feel like men too have to be transparent, you know, because this is a lifetime gig.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah. I mean, all jokes apart. I mean, we joke about, you know, tall, dark, and handsome. We turn people down and everything. But to go back to your point, the reality is there's more than a person than there still looks. And we always have to remember ourselves, we're made in God's image. So if we're discounting someone, well, that's God's child that we're discounting. So I know I joke about those things a lot, but in reality, I've come to recognize that, you know, I really, knowing what exactly I want, I think that's where I start with, like, okay, yeah, there's a want and there's a need, right?
True.
There's a deal breakers and not. So it's like, okay, let's start with the wants, the needs, and then we'll start with the needs, then the wants. Yeah, the needs first, then the wants. But
Yeah, sounds really interesting. And again, I was also thinking about when a lady is in waiting. I don't want to use a lady because we're not looking at just speaking to the ladies alone, because now this society makes it look as if it's only the pressure should only be on the lady and then the guy. Because I was going to have a guy on the podcast and he told me that there's actually no societal pressure on women, on men to get married. And I thought about it and I'm like, truly, there's actually no societal. I wouldn't say they are not, but it's not as ladies we expect. So I'll say for someone in waiting, what are the things? Do you think that individual has to build up while waiting for that person that God has actually kept for them?
So I would say, again, self-discovery. You have to take the time to really know your know your wants. And so that way, really know what's important to you. So when that thing comes, you're like, okay, no. And then just taking time to like find fulfillment outside of waiting for a partner. Travel, see the world, start that podcast, find your passion, do whatever it is that you want to do, and you find that a lot of people are like, yeah, I wasn't even looking for a spouse when we met. I was so focused on what I was doing and we met. So I would definitely say just spend time with yourself, self-care, nurture the relationships and the friendships that you have. Like spend time doing all of those things, and rather than being so focused on finding a partner.
That's true. How about you, Debbie?
I would say discovering your purpose and walking in your purpose, because it's easier to weed out people when you're already in your purpose. You're not trying to make a square fit into a circle. So to what your point you made earlier about how some people wait, like, okay, I'm going to wait till I get married so I start working on my purpose. I'm like, no. What if you guys are not going down the same route? You gotta know, like, if I'm heading on I-30, you gotta be heading on I-30. You can't be going to 360. We're going in different directions. So I'll definitely say, walking in your purpose. So when you meet the person, it becomes clearer if you guys are aligned. Or if you guys are not aligned, like if you want to pursue ministry and this man tells you, I want to be a club promoter. I'm not knocking you if you're a club promoter. Do what you got to do. That's between you and God, right? But if I know that I'm called to ministry and I'm walking in that path, I already can tell, okay, you know what? This is not going to work. And if he's being honest, like, okay, you know what? This is definitely not going to work. Or if you want to be a lawyer, right? And then you meet this guy and he tells you he's a drug dealer, or something. You already know we're not going to work. You're a police officer. Yeah. This person's a criminal. You guys already, they don't even align. They're on opposites, So I'll say walking in your purpose, it helps you know what's for you and what is not for you. You don't get confused. And you nurture the other relationships that you have. You know, you get to discover yourself. Your single years, you can't get it back once you get married. You know how you were saying that the lady at the nail salon was telling you, take your time. Because what a lot of these married people are seeing, like they want to rush out and single people want to rush in. You know, but there's no time like your single years. I feel like for married people, the only time they can get back to being like their single years are when their children are in college or out. And that's a long time for a lot of people. You know, that's a long time to keep your destiny on hold. That's a long time to neglect yourself. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And I like the fact that you guys talked about purpose. Purpose is very important, knowing your purpose. And then you spoke about working on your friendships, building relationships. Because a lot of people think that you just get married like that, and then your friends do not matter. Because I see a lot of people just forget about their friends when they get married. I just feel like along the line, you need people to talk to. You need all these relationships. So it's also very important that as a single, you keep building on those relationships. And also, one thing I always tell people is experience life, like she said. Travel, go to places, do something new. Even if you can't travel out of the country, go on trips, travel with this state, go for church conferences, go for concerts, experience life, because you wouldn't really have this time again. So it's very important that you actually experience life, so that when you start having children, you wouldn't feel like you miss out on anything, and you wouldn't have that resentment that, oh, I did not enjoy my youthful days. So it's very, very important that you experience life. And one other thing is, when you're in the place of waiting, it's very important that we build character. Now, a lot of things people just say, I'm waiting for the man, but let's be very honest. There are people who have characters that even if your brother wants to marry today, you can't actually recommend them. And even it applies to men too, who have bad characters, that even if you have your friend or your sister, you can't refer to these people. So it's very important that be interested, because I'm somebody who likes to be very, very realistic with us. So in as much as I'm spiritual and I believe that God will bring my spouse for me at the set time, I try to look inward at myself and look at myself. Am I marriable? That's a very good question that men, both as ladies and as men, we should ask ourselves. Am I a marriable person? If I love myself so much, will I be able to want to give myself to somebody that I really care about? So that's why it's very important to look intrinsically and say, okay, what characters am I? Am I someone who is dirty? I need to begin to learn how to keep my environment clean. Am I somebody who has OCD? I need to find a balance to it. Am I somebody who doesn't know how to cook? Nobody's saying become a chef. Work on yourself. Okay, do I need to go and register for classes and at least know how to cook the basics? So that if I meet a man today and he wants to marry me, he knows that if I can cook rice. So we can move from there to doing fried rice. Do you understand? So I have to work on those parts of myself. Am I somebody who actually is to sleep late and wake up very late? To be very honest, no mother-in-law we really like, or a man we really, because a woman is, if you want to be very sincere, she's a builder. So nobody will want to marry a woman that wakes up 10 o'clock in the morning. Not that it's wrong, but it should not be a habit. There are times that you might have walked through the night and you are tired. And I have friends who are very late risers. I used to be like that. I'm somebody who I'll consider myself a nocturnal animal. I can be awake. Like, if you want to catch me active, catch me at night.
Oh, that's why I get those 3 a.m. text messages.
For me, right? Yeah. Every time I message you. Once it's 10 p.m., it seems as if that's why my life starts. I'm telling you, from 10 to 5 in the morning, I have a jotter. It seems as if all the inspirations in the world just start coming in. And then 5 o'clock, I now start shutting down. I can sleep from 5 to 2 in the afternoon. But I was in a relationship with somebody who he would call me, I'll be like, I'm sleeping. When all these baby, how are you messages, I'll be sending it to him in the night. So he was like, no, this is not good. And I really had to think, we're not together. And that was not the basis of our breakup. But I needed to take that into my life. I'm like, I need to work on this. After working, I began to work on it. And what I started doing is that I started sleeping early. So I can sleep from 7 p.m. to 12 in the midnight. I had to strike that balance. You get, what was I was doing? Was it bad? No, it was working for me, but it's not good if in the long run I'm going to be a mother, because I cannot be sleeping when my children are supposed to be going to school and then waking up in the midnight. Do you understand? Yes. So those are things I needed to work on myself. And then we have people who have issues like, oh, they don't know how to keep friendships. You need to work on that part of yourself. So what I'm saying in the whole essence is actually be intrinsic and look at yourself and say, what are the areas I know that are affecting me? Forget about, and with the spiritual part is there. You are going to pray, and God is not an unfaithful God that you ask for bread and he will give you so. So it's constant that you're going to get married. But while on that journey, why don't you decide to give your best self to your spouse? Why don't you decide to say, okay, I want to brush up on my career. Take those courses. Improve your value. Go for those trainings I think that are going to, don't sit down there and say, I don't have a job. And even if you don't have a job, learn a skill, do something. Let's keep your life moving. At the point, you see, it also boils down to purpose. As you're moving and building up on yourself, the man will come. And when the man comes, he'll meet a valuable person. And also, this applies to men too. Because I see this society, they do a lot of training for women. And then we've built up women that are great women, that are good wives, but the men have not been built up. And these are the men you expect your daughters to marry. So this applies to young men also. What are you building? Go for that anger management class. Work on yourself. Don't tell me that, oh, the woman did something to me. And I look at a lot of marriages today. They have so much domestic violence going on. And these are men that have had trauma. And trauma is not talked about when it comes to men. Mental health. A lot of men bottle up their mental health. And long run in their marriage begin to explode all those things that have been inside them, that have been imploded inside of them. So it's very important as a man, build on your character. You have a drinking habit, go to God in prayers to deliver you. You have addictions with pornography, work on yourself. You will not deal with your pornography and then bring it into marriage and be expecting your wife to be acting those pornographic scenes for you married. Work on all those, so that when you're coming out,
looking for who can deal with their bad character.
So when you're coming out to your spouse, you are a total man and you're meeting a total woman, and then you're going to raise seeds which are called godly seeds that will impact generation, because in the real sense, you cannot give what you don't have.
That's a fact.
And when the Bible says